Welcome back, guys. What is up? Evan Aldo here. Crazy, last we were live, last night, and a little bit of found that old kind of thumbnail of me in Bali, so a little bit of clickbait there, but forgive me, nothing too much, but so yeah, ultimately, let me just get this up. So, yeah, I mean, as you can see, I'm trying to go long right now. I think that there's a decent shot of continued recovery. I mean, a couple of things we want to look at for, VIX spike. You went up. So let's just look historically. If you guys aren't too familiar with volatility, which, I mean, I don't look at it's only really worth looking at this when, in my opinion at least, when markets are very volatile. This was pandemic. That was insane. '08 was even crazier. You would think pandemic would have been crazier, but '08 was even crazier. And then, I mean, there's only so much. Oh, you can actually. I wonder. Yeah, okay. So it don't happen. We've seen more volatility. Well, there, that 15, not really. That was a big one, then almost there. So, I mean, I don't think, unless you think it's going to be like freaking, I mean, COVID technically was a recession, a small one. In 22, you could make the argument it was kind of as well, but you didn't have that volatility, so you don't need that. But '08 obviously was a recession. And yeah, I mean, you came up enough where it would kind of give you the argument that we have bottomed. ETH is forming a generally bullish pattern, somewhat of a reverse head and shoulders. You bounced off of your 2018 highs, which is very stupendous. I don't know, good, bad. Big area, big area. I mean, okay, so you bounced off of that at 1400. I think it's now I just want to see what this correction was from 65% down now. How far does she go down? Does she go down to 1200? Now that's the next question. Man, I think markets continue to kind of recover. I think we see more general good news with negotiation. Think we see inflation data generally come in pretty soft going forward. I think that if the SPY goes down any lower, you're gonna see more news from the Fed. Now, big jump up here. Does she hold? I think she's got a good shot of holding. You know what I mean? I think because you're seeing the volatility. This is probably freaking, yeah, I mean, that's some volatility, 9% upward. People are buying that dip. I mean, what was this correction so far in terms of US dollar value? That 21. So almost back down to these levels. But if you look at SPY versus DXY, let's adjust for inflation a little bit because we've seen a lot of it. You're well below you're well below 21 highs here, adjusting for inflation, which is, it's quite a correction. I'll tell you that much, quite a correction. And yeah, I mean, I'm just looking here if we are, hitting anything in the DXY versus SPY. I mean, but it's plenty down enough to, in my opinion, to get inflation under control, and under control enough to hopefully lower those rates. Now, I don't know why. Well, I mean, I guess it's not extremely surprising. We haven't seen the Fed really say anything, but the yields are pumping. So no matter what you do, you're never going to get your lower interest rates. I'm just kidding. I think they will come down. I mean, they're obviously going to come down a lot if the S&P 500 keeps going down. If the S&P 500 recovers and we have our bull run, you'll probably get back down to these lows, maybe a little bit lower into the end of the year, but we'll see. Almost too good to be true for people trying to refinance or whatever, but yeah. So that was that jump there. For us, so that was Solana. A lot of these, there's a good shot. You came down, you scared a lot of people away, and that was a good shot, and the majority of people are still kind of bearish. Now, as you can see here, I'm not going to tell you where I am going to take profits or stop loss. You have to pay me for that, and I'm just kidding. But if you want to get one free month in Aldo Empire VIP Discord, where we have an astounding rate of success in there, if you have good risk management and you take those trades. I mean, no promises. There are some bad patches, I will say. Sometimes I can't make you any promises because then you're going to sue me when you lose the little money you had. No, I'm just kidding. But no, we do provide a really good price. Check it out. Link is down below for the Discord if you want one free month. You sent the BYDFI or BloFin down below. Deposit at least $100. And open support ticket with UYD will give you one free month in there. So check it out if you guys are interested. The links are down below. 10% off your fees for life. with both of those. Cody, yeah, we can look at that. Let's see. What's up, Milite is Jamie. So we can look at Cody. Yeah, AVAX made a lower low. Others versus Bitcoin, you did make a slightly lower low, but now you're jumping up. So you kind of slightly invalidated that low, I guess. You could call the tariffs kind of an unexpected event. I mean, who knew Trump was going to go so freaking hardcore with these tariffs? Did anybody think it would be this extreme? So you could call it somewhat of an unexpected event, I think. But anyway, maybe I'm being a little bit too optimistic about altcoins. ApeCoin was down to 35 cents. Now you're trying to recover up to 39 cents. Depressing. Depressing. So yeah, I'm trying to think here. I mean, then you're trying to, well, that was like a Cody, sure. Forgot about that one. Yeah, I mean, that low is somewhat significant here. Yeah, you came down to that low almost. You know, it's a significant area. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know too much about the coin, but you could, yeah, this could be the area where you start to turn around a bit, you know. Maybe wait for that next weekly green dot or something, maybe. See, ETH versus Bitcoin. So, starting to come up a little bit. I mean, you came down to almost your 2019. So, if you were to come down to 2019 lows here, how much from that low? That's another 10% down. So, at this point, you know, I think if you're going to turn around for ETH, now would be the time to really get in. But who knows? You know, who knows? Maybe end QT officially at the next FOMC meeting in about a month. And then, yeah, rate cuts from there, 3 to 4 this year. Assuming markets continue to recover. If they don't continue to recover, you would probably see more rate cuts and less hawkishness by the Fed. I think a lot are waiting for the inflation data that comes out on Thursday as well. You got a CPI, I believe. So, yeah, that is that as well. But, yeah, pretty good volatility here, 19%. I mean, you could come down, retest some of these lows here. We are in a lot of fear for Bitcoin. We're in a lot of fear for the stock market, as we have been. So, generally, historically, is a good place to get in my opinion. So, yeah. Let's see. Let's see what's up, James. Got to give it a call. I mean, I think the Trump tariffs are already factored in. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think it was unexpected. I think the main thing was unexpected how hardcore they were. And I think that Trump looks for, okay, that's interesting. I mean, usually these type of things are, you know, when you have the analyst saying bottom is not in, usually that means you're hitting the bottom. Generally, most people are wrong most of the time. You know, so yeah. Yields didn't tank that much, though. I mean, you would, if you're thinking the tariffs are going to bring us down farther, you'd have to have more bearish stuff come out, kind of more things, more hawkishness. And I mean, how could you get any more hardcore on these tariffs than Trump has been? I mean, what is he going to do? Tariff everyone 100,000%? You know? The U.S. arrive its tariff figures. Well, yeah. Additional fit. That was a threat, announcing additional 50%. That's all a threat. That's probably not going to come to fruition, but we'll see. You know, does Trump purposely bring us into recession here? I don't think so. U.S. recession, it's coming down slightly, a 60% chance. So, coming down slightly. That's what's crazy. It's this high up, and your betting odds don't even think that we're going to have any more than 3 cuts this year, even with going into recession, which is interesting. I don't know. So, yeah. But what I will say, huge place on ETH that we hit off of. And, yeah, I mean, ETH, Bitcoin. if you can make a lower high here, I think that would be, I think it would be, you know, somewhat of a nice thing in some ways. It depends how you how you draw this in some ways, but you know, if you can make a higher low. Now you're still kind of waiting on that 2 week, on that 3 week. I mean, this just only goes down, but it won't go down for, nothing goes down forever in a straight line. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how much more? The thing is, I think that the Fed is going to fold the moment. Well, the Fed is going to start to be more lenient once, hopefully what I think will happen is you'll see better inflation data. That's going to make the Fed more lenient. If you lose this, if this happens, which I kind of don't think it will, but if this does happen, that's where the Fed starts to fold a bit. Or at least to get your damn yields to come down. Let's see. 2 goals, interest rate cut and tax cut. The rest of actually moving companies back to USA. Yeah, I think so too. Take years to play out, but we'll see. So it's AVAX. I'm trying to think what else I want to look at here. I mean, we did look at the NASDAQ is the big one. I mean, anybody buying the dip on the NASDAQ? Tesla didn't make a lower low. I mean, this is just wild, this volatility. I mean, you jumped, yeah, 5%. And I mean, who's buying the S&P 500? It's all the cool kids are buying the NASDAQ these days. But right there, let's just look at, that's a good one to look at. Triple Q versus SPY. Okay, so generally outperforms it. Did bleed a decent amount against it into early 23, like everything, 20%. But you're kind of forming this large reverse head and shoulders big area right here. I think the NASDAQ will start to outperform the SPY again, hopefully. I would think so. Because if it outperforms the SPY, most likely Bitcoin will outperform the NASDAQ. Very large reverse head and shoulders. So, yeah, man. Yeah, people coming back. Not too much, though. But then what happens when nobody comes back? Then he just folds and takes away the tariffs. Maybe, maybe not. What was I looking at? TRX held up pretty well, but I would be a little bit cautious because, you know, red dot after the green dot right there. Just like that, maybe you'll jump. Oh, what was I gonna look at here? So now what was it? Bitcoin versus NASDAQ. Let's take a look at that. Trigger wave right there. Now, does this invalidate and fall over? That's the question. I don't think so. I think it keeps going, but we'll see. Let's look at ETH versus NASDAQ. That's a good one to look at, probably. Ooh. So, ooh. Almost. You kind of hit that area. Let's see, that was 22 lows. Had a good ride up against, yeah, since 2020. But that right there, yeah, I would say that, yeah, that wick. Look at the wick. You break above there. Let's see. Oh, the Japanese, yeah. Oh, Jupiter. You meant the Japanese market had a circuit breaker hit. So yeah. Just trying to think here. Nah, but I mean, we'll see. Money came in, which is what you want. You want a little bit of money to come in. You got your little bit of money to come in. Now, let's see if this lasts. Fear and greed. Still very afraid. I would say high or low on this. Let's actually zoom in on this a little bit. It was down to 15. Now we're down to 17. Higher low, I would hope for. That's what I would hope for. And as this comes up, you see a little bit more, less fear come in, and you'll start to recover. Well, I want to look at liquidation points a little bit. I think heat map 2, model 2 is a good one to look at. Okay, so this, I mean, if anyone has any advice on how to like look at liquidation maps, I would appreciate it. But you definitely are seeing more at like that 84. If we really zoom out here, let's go on like our weekly and our 2 week and all that. Seeing a lot at 84, which is what you may see us head to. So yeah, and if we zoom out here, 88 you're seeing. And if you really zoom out, you're seeing more at, if you think we're going to go down to 63. You do have more at 89 though than 63, but it's not. I mean, you're going to see liquidations all across the board. Look at the yearly here. Let's see where most of the money is. Well, you heard it here first, folks. We're going down to 46. Probably not, but who knows. I'm curious about ETH on this now, with ETH coming down so much. Let's look at ETH on the yearly. Phew, nothing. You have no one to you have no one to screw over here, except people short from 4,000. You just have no one to. Let me just look at 6 month maybe. You have no one to rail here. Just no one. Not even at. If you were to do a low leveraged long on ETH right now, I think that would be a good bet. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe ETH is dead, but there's just nobody's trying to long ETH right now. At least not long term in the way that these charts are showing. Maybe the Binance or maybe let's see something here. Maybe Bybit. That's a highly. No, even not that. It's all the same. Yeah, nothing, man. Man, you gotta like. Now is the time to put your liquidation frickin' 2 or 3x. Try to ride her up. You know. Could be something there. Although you'd have to really. Yeah, definitely could be something there though. That could be the bottom just based on those liquidations. I mean, there's nobody much lower. Nobody in these depths. I mean, I was looking at Ben Cowan's logarithmic band. I think the bottom of it's like 1,200. I guess you could go there, but you're not going to rail too many people going that low. I'll tell you that. Have I sold my ETH? Oh. What do you think based on just what have I just said? No, I have not. Why would I sell it? It's not worth anything. What am I sell it for? It's not worth anything. Gonna take 80K back. I don't think that's gonna be too hard to do. What do you think, Marco? You think this is the bottom? I think there's a good, especially on ETH. Frickin', there's just no one to liquidate anymore. Who are you gonna liquidate? I think if you hold this, yeah, and get back up, I think we should be Gucci. No, I don't think you're gonna hear news on Fed cutting rates unless we make a lower low for the S&P 500 NASDAQ, or you see a lot of good inflation news in the following days. But I think you may on Thursday. Thursday, you may see some good inflation news, and that may help us out. Trueflation is really low right now. What's it at? Let's take a look. See, that's low. I mean, the last time we were, in this kind of area, that was a rally there, and the time before that was over here, July. Yeah, summer 23. You had a nice rally. So, yeah. Hmm. 20% chance of emergency recovery. I think recession odds will go down too, though. There obviously would go down as things rise. Let's look at unemployment. Unemployment rate. 4.2. Wait a second. Why is my okay? So unemployment, I think, will steadily rise, and that will be more of a reason for the Fed to, cut rates. I mean, you don't really go into, you don't go into a recession unless this gets up to like 6, probably 5 to 6. So you're away. I mean, you'd have to really skyrocket like a weight, you know what I mean, or a pandemic. If you were to see, like, let's see, when does a recession actually get announced, actually happen? You probably would, if you see a gradual increase, probably wouldn't be sometime until 2026, mid 26. And then, yeah, could be something like that. I don't know. I mean, you look at GDP, we're not down enough in terms of 2022 was way more of a recession than what we've seen so far. By what metric are we in a recession? We're not. Let's look at what we avoided. Like, let's look at SPY versus DXY. And let's look at 22, that correction. And I mean, I consider this to be a mild recession. You came down 37% adjusted for inflation. What have you come down so far now adjusted for inflation? 18%. You ain't even close. I mean, I think you would at minimum have to do like high 30s. Pandemic adjusted for inflation, 37. What was this adjusted to? 37. So these were both mild recessions. I would think, yeah, I mean, you would have to, this was not a recession. I mean, 08 adjusted for inflation was probably, that was deflation, actually wasn't as bad. Okay, 61 still, yeah, same against USD pair. I think it was 58 actually. But you would have to probably come down to freaking, I would say, before you get really here at least, probably down another like 10, 20% here. Probably 18. Okay, 18 will probably do it. And then you're probably, depending on how long it takes, then you're probably there almost, but yeah. I mean, 2022, you were in a recession by Q3 of 20. Yeah, but they said it's 4 quarters now. By some metrics you weren't, some you were. They kind of changed the definition though, but yeah. By the way, guys, too, if you want to go to Bitcoin 2025, 10% off, my link down below. The prices go up on Friday. If you've never gone to the Bitcoin conference, it's a lot of fun, especially in Vegas. I think you guys will have a lot of fun there, so check it out. But what was this? Just this dump from this high, 2100, 30% down from there. So yeah, I mean, am I selling ETH? It's not worth anything. Not selling something that ain't worth nothing. Am I selling ApeCoin? No, it ain't worth anything. Let's look at virtual. Rainy day today. Rainy day. When is the weather supposed to clear up? Man, getting some serious rain that don't stop. It's gonna get a little bit better later. This whole week looks like crap. Damn. Oh well. A bull market recession. Well. Virtuals. Weekly, wait for that. Give it a few weeks. It could be the bottom. Maybe go down lower. Let's see how bad Trump coin did. That probably did freaking terrible, yeah. Whew. The Melania one was the real freaking. It's like 90% actually. But not healthy in terms of how quickly it had gone down. This is just so dead. 98, yeah. Man. I didn't look at Mutant 8 Yacht Club, but I think it actually held up somewhat well against Yeah, that same area, same potential. If you look at CoinGecko, just curious about NFTs, how they have done. 20K for a Bored Ape, 3,700, so 2.4 ETH, which it's a low, but you know, we'll see. We just need some money to go back into ETH, which I think we can. It's such a huge freaking level here. Well, that was your new moon dump. And now you're going to get a full moon relatively soon. Maybe that'll bring you back up to 17, then 2000. So, yep. But no, I think low leverage on ETH now. Like if you can something here, I mean, there could be something here. Low leverage ETH, like trying to ride this up, man. It might be, you know, it might like a 3-to-1 or something. Maybe back up to 2000. Yeah. Trump coin is a buy to hold. Yeah. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Just thinking here. Oh man, oh man. Be interesting if housing keeps going up. It probably won't though. But yeah, I mean, man. How are you guys doing in the States right now? Are you guys like fighting over eggs or whatever? Are there like some places limiting the amount of eggs you could buy? There could be. Twitch is sometimes. I think I may stop streaming on Twitch, man. I don't know. Nobody really watches me on Twitch. I think I'm just gonna stick to YouTube. It could be some restream issue. We got the got the thumbnails figured out, so we're making some progress, you know. But yeah, I jump right there. So let's just look at like what could really turn things around a little bit, you know. Right there, deep anchor wave, and then the 2 week we've been waiting for a long time, maybe into end of April. My view is that you could rally into, and I mean, yeah, you could probably rally into freaking, you know, Bitcoin conference. You came down so goddamn much. You're not gonna come down forever here. Bitcoin, well, the thing is, if you hold that, that's just a wick downward. And others versus Bitcoin, if you hold that low as well, let's look at others, just others in general first of all. Because that's okay. So, I mean, August 24 is where you came back to, which is not good, but at the same time, it's not the worst thing. Well, money flow, that could have already kind of played out there. Let's see here. 60% down, 57, a little bit worse than that now. Yeah, I mean, you're hitting, that was kind of that big area. That's really where you want to hold right there. Now, how are we reacting? We're above it. You know, volatility, we're above it, so that's good. You know. Just curious about this. Depends how you draw it, but well. Yeah, from that wick, I mean, you can mess around with this, manipulate it, but yeah. I think that we are close. If we haven't hit it, we probably hit it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but we probably hit it. I think I'm gonna stop streaming on Twitch. It just ain't the. It's just too. I don't know. Nobody watches me on there. It's mainly YouTube. I don't know. Do a lot of people stream on Twitch too anymore? I had a cool deal with them a couple years back, but you know, they were good. But for my type of content, I don't know if it's the best thing. Thinking here. Tesla. Slightly lower low, but nothing too terrible. That was if everything finds a way to finally hit the point that you wanted to hit right there. You know what I mean? Now you're, yeah, finally kind of hit that place, or maybe a cent above it, yeah. Could be continued recovery from there. Trigger wave forming. I'm just thinking, if you were to do something like this, now I'm not saying that's going to happen, but damn, god damn, you're still looking at potential new all-time highs. Still looking at potential new all-time highs, which is nuts. But yeah, that's Amazon. Let's look at something else. Well, let's see for Bitcoin. Yeah, that's the thing too, because we made the new, well, let's do it from that one. And you're still looking at potentially, I don't think it's going to be that quick that you get to 150K, but by end of year, I think it's possible. Still think it's possible. Let's actually look at, let's just look at NASDAQ on the 6-day here. Okay, so this one's a little bit different. We'd have to zoom in a little bit. I mean, you could compare it to something like that, but I'm looking for like a year. Trump. What's up, Johnny? What, is he speaking, or says the lion talk? The lion go roaring? Come on. CNBC is down? What? Now, all we need is for Kramer to say the bottom is not in. That's all we need. That's all we need. Let's try. Is he speaking? Oh. The lion is speaking. I don't think the lion's speaking, guys. He speaking. What channel? Oh. Well, how do I find that? Oh.
Respect that enormously. I certainly do.
Oh, yeah, that's the
People of Israel do, and I think the Jewish people do as well. We just saw your representative in the Department of Justice fighting anti-Semitism, standing up for Israel in international forums. I just want you to know from the heart, it's deeply, deeply appreciated. As you said, we had the opportunity to talk today about many subjects. First, if I can mention tariffs, it's a subject of some interest today. I can tell you that I said to the President a very simple thing. We will eliminate the trade deficit with the United States. We intend to do it very quickly. We think it's the right thing to do.
This is bullshit.
And we're going to also eliminate trade barriers, a variety of trade barriers that have been put up unnecessarily. And I think Israel can serve as a model for many countries who ought to do the same. I recognize the position of the United States. It says, we're allowing other countries to put tariffs on us, but we don't put tariffs on them. And I'm a free trade champion, and free trade has to be fair trade. And I think that's basically the position that you've put forward, Mr. President. We are going to eliminate the tariffs, and rapidly. I had the opportunity to speak to
I think they're going to go
Secretary
zero
Lutnick yesterday. We talked
But
about
Israel, that's how much do they import
this
next
quickly,
week, right?
and I
Not
hope
that
to
much,
bring a
yeah.
solution very quickly. We're not talking about intentions. We're not talking about just words. We're talking about results. And those results are going to come back. That's the first.
Thank you very much. It's very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President, what about the hostages deal?
Oh,
Well,
God.
What about the
Let him
hostages?
finish.
didn't finish.
Okay.
Didn't begin. We spoke about not only the hostages, but about Gaza. The hostages obviously is a human story of just unbearable agony. I speak to the families. I spoke to them yesterday. Spoke to another one when I was in Hungary before I came here. I speak to them every day. They're in agony. The hostages are in agony, and we want to get them all out. Steve Witkoff was President Trump's very able representative, helped us get a deal that got 25 out. We're working now on another deal that we hope will succeed. And we're committed to getting all the hostages out, but also eliminating the evil tyranny of Hamas in Gaza and enabling the people of Gaza to freely make a choice to go wherever they want. I mean, they should have that choice. And the president put forward a vision, a bold vision, which we discussed as well, including the countries that might be amenable and are amenable to accepting Palestinians of their free choice if they choose to go there. And I think that's the second thing that we discussed. But the hostages
it's
came
already
right on top. We also discussed the situation in Syria. We've had neighborly relations with Turkey that have deteriorated, and we don't want to see Syria being used by anyone, including Turkey, as a base for attack in Israel. Turkey is a country that has a great relationship with the United States. The president has a relationship with the leader of Turkey. We discussed how we can avoid this conflict in a variety of ways, and I think we can't have a better interlocutor than the President of the United States for this purpose. And of course, we also discussed Iran. Look, we're both united in the goal that Iran does not ever get nuclear weapons. If it could be done diplomatically in a full way, the way it was done in Libya, I think that would be a good thing. But whatever happens, we have to make sure that Iran does not have nuclear weapons. That's the end of my speech.
Mr. President,
We're having direct talks with. Wait. We're having direct talks with Iran, and they've started Saturday. We have a very big meeting, and we'll see what can happen. And I think everybody agrees that doing a deal would be preferable to doing the obvious. And the obvious is not something that I want to be involved with, or frankly, that Israel wants to be involved with if they can avoid it. So we're going to see if we can avoid it. But it's getting to be very dangerous territory. And hopefully those talks will be successful. And I think it would be in Iran's best interest if they are successful. We hope that's going to happen. And we had just a lot of good talks on a lot of things. I appreciate very much what you said about the tariffs. We've been ripped off and taken advantage of by many countries over the years, and can't do it anymore. Just can't do it anymore. We can't be the stupid people anymore. And it's all because of the people that sat in the seat right here. Not your seat, but this seat. They allowed things to happen to our country that they shouldn't have allowed to happen on trade and other things, many other things. I mean, look at what's happened with our last president, where he allowed millions of people to come into our country with an open border. Who would want an open border? How stupid is that? But he allowed millions and millions of people, and of the millions, and I think it was 21 million people, but let's say 3 of them were serious criminals, serious murderers and drug dealers and gang members and people from jails. All the jails emptied out right into our country, right along the open border on Mexico, generally the Mexico. Okay, they came in from Canada too, by the way, a lot, but generally speaking on the southern border. And what a shame it is that we are now working very hard to get them out, get the criminals out, get the murderers out, the drug dealers, the mentally insane, get them out. They dropped the mentally insane in our country too. And this was all done by the Biden administration. It's a disgrace that we have to work so hard. And then we have judges that try and protect these people, but they didn't protect us when the people were being let in. But to get them out is never easy with these people. So I think we're doing a great job. The border is the best it's ever been. Even as strong as it was, I had a great, solid border. I think it might even be tougher right now and stronger. So people are coming into our country, but they're coming in legally. We have a legal process, and we have that moving along properly because we need people to come into our country, but we want people that can love our country and cherish our country. So that's where we are. And with that, any questions?
Mr. President, European Union to the markets today, and would you be open to a pause in tariffs to allow for negotiations?
Well, we're not looking at that. We have many, many countries that are coming to negotiate deals with us, and they're going to be fair deals. And in certain cases, they're going to be paying substantial tariffs. They'll be fair deals. As you know, I spoke this morning with the Prime Minister of Japan, and we had a very good conversation. They're coming. And I said, one thing, you're going to have to open up your country because we sold no cars, like 0 cars in Japan, and they sold millions of cars into our country. They don't really take our agriculture, a little bit of it just to keep us slightly happy, but they don't take what they're supposed to be taking. So we have a great relationship with Japan. We're going to keep it that way, but they're coming in to meet, and other countries are coming in. With China, as you know, against my statement, they put a 34% tariff on above what their ridiculous tariffs were already. And I said, if that tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on. So they've gone for years. They've become a rich country because of people, again, that were in the White House that allowed this to happen. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year that make it on some trade, and it shouldn't be that way. And I have a great relationship with President Xi. I hope it's going to stay that way. I have great respect for China, but they can't do this. We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do this, what I'm doing. And I'll tell you what, it's an honor to do it because we have been just destroyed, what they've done to our system. You know, we have $36 trillion of debt for a reason. And the reason is that people allowed it to get that way. So we'll be talking to China. We'll be talking to a lot of different countries. And I think, you know, if we can make a really fair deal and a good deal for the United States, not a good deal for others. This is America first. It's now America first. And we didn't put America first. We put America last. The people that were in the Oval Office put America last, and we're not going to stand for it. Yeah.
Mr. President, who's going to represent the U.S. in the talks with Iran?
2 questions. Do you expect any of these deals to be made before April 9th? And secondly, there have been some mixed messages from your administration. You're talking about negotiations, and yet others in your administration are saying that these tariffs are actually permanent. What is the action?
Well, it can both be true. There can be permanent tariffs, and there can also be negotiations because there are things that we need beyond tariffs. We need open borders. You know, we almost had a deal with China where we're going to open up China. It was almost done. Some of you remember it during my first term, and it was very disappointing. We ended up making a great deal. $50 billion worth of product was sold. $50 billion. You'd like that in Israel. And I made that deal, but it wasn't the deal that I wanted. It was the deal that I wanted was that plus they're going to open up China so that our companies could go into China and compete with other countries and China for for a large number of people. And at the very end, that deal was terminated, and we went to a piece of the deal. And there are a lot of things outside of tariffs, but tariffs are very important. But there are a lot of things like opening up countries that were totally closed. China's essentially a closed country. In fact, it is a closed country. And what they do is they charge tariffs so that if you sell cars or if you sell anything, nobody's going to buy it because the price is out of control. But that's true with a lot of other countries also. So we're going to get fair deals and good deals with every country. And if we don't, we're going to have nothing to do with them. They're not going to be allowed to participate in the United States.
Mr. President,
Many of time. This gentleman is all day long.
Mr. President, thank you for the chance. Many of Palestinian Americans who voted for you and not for Biden because you've promised them to end the war in Gaza.
Very honored by that vote, too.
The war is still going on and there's no hostage deal. Do you have any update on that?
Well, I'd like to see the war stop, and I think the war will stop at some point that won't be in the too distant future. Right now we have a problem with hostages. We're trying to get the hostages out. We got quite a few of them out, but it's a long process. It shouldn't be that long. We have a big problem that we've done. I think I'll ask Pete to maybe talk about it for a second, because a lot of people are asking. The Houthis, we've been very tough and very successful militarily. We've really damaged them badly. These were people shooting down ships and other things, by the way, flying objects like airplanes. And we've put a major hurt on the Houthis, which nobody's been able to do. We've really hit them hard, and they know it, and they don't know what to do. And it's every night, night after night, and we've gotten many of their leaders and their experts. They're experts on missiles. I mean, they actually make missiles. Nobody thought that, but they make missiles. They're highly sophisticated, and they're very tough, but they've been very badly damaged. Nobody else was able to do that but us. Pete, you want to discuss that, please?
Yes, sir. It's been a bad 3 weeks for the Houthis, and it's about to get worse. It's been a devastating campaign, whether it's underground facilities, weapons manufacturing, bunkers, troops in the open, air defense assets. We are not going to relent, and it's only to get more unrelenting until the Houthis declare they will stop shooting at our ships. And we've been very clear at the Iranians as well. They should not continue to provide support to the Houthis, and that message has been made very clear. So we have a lot more options and a lot more pressure to apply, and we know, because we see the reports, how devastating this campaign has been in them. And we will not relent.
We have a great military. There's no military like our military. And despite Biden having given a lot, but nevertheless a pretty small piece, but it was a lot of our military away in Afghanistan, and one of the dumbest situations, I think, and maybe the most embarrassing situation we've ever been involved in. That short period of time in Afghanistan,
like I mentioned,
what a disgrace that was. But left a lot of our military behind. Left. You see them in their annual parades, where they're parading trucks that are armor plated and different things that they can't. But it's many billions of dollars we left behind. But despite that, we have a tremendous military. That was a very small portion, because we rebuilt the military during my first term, and we have great things happening with our military. We also essentially approved a budget which is in the facility. You'll like to hear this, of $1 trillion, $1 trillion, and nobody's seen anything like it. We have to build our military, and we're very cost conscious, but the military is something that we have to build, and we have to be strong, because you got a lot of bad forces out there now. So we're going to be approving a budget, and I'm proud to say, actually, the biggest one we've ever done for the military. We're cutting other things that were under Doge, but under a lot of other. When you look at a woman getting $2 billion for environmental, and it had nothing to do with environmental, and they had $100 in the bank, and they give her $2 billion. Many of those cases, all that stuff is going to be cut out. But we are getting a very, very powerful military. We have things under order now, the likes of which we've never had before. We've never had the kind of aircraft, the kind of missiles, anything that we have ordered. And it's in many ways too bad that we have to do it, because hopefully we're not going to have to use it. But the military is very, very powerful, and it's going to remain that way.
How do you
deal, please.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Working
President.
beefy. That is
I want to ask you about Iran because this is the first time we hear that the U.S. is having a direct contact with the Iranians.
Aircraft,
Is it possible to give us some more
automobiles,
information
auto-
at what
yeah, they
level
drive up
the
like
U.S.
that.
is
High level,
represented?
very high level.
And
We're dealing with the Iranians. We have a very big meeting on Saturday, and we're dealing with them directly. You know, a lot of people say, oh, maybe you're going through surrogates or you're not dealing directly, you're dealing through other countries. No, we're dealing with them directly, and maybe a deal is going to be made. That would be great. It'll be really great for Iran, I can tell you that. But hopefully, we're not going to have to get into that. We are meeting very importantly on Saturday at almost the highest level. And we'll see how it works out. Please.
How do you ensure, Mr. President, that these tariffs don't drive U.S. trading partners into the hands of the Chinese?
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. If they want to be in the hands of the U.S., they don't want to be in the hands of the Chinese. And the Chinese have turned out to be really not very good at that. People that are with us, they're with us. But we cannot be taken advantage of any longer. I used to watch these deals for years. I've been talking about it for years. You know, I've been talking about it for 35 years, how our country is being ripped off. I mean, 30 years ago it was Japan, then it was something else, then it was another group, then it was China. China's doing the best job of it, frankly. And it's just not going to happen, not going to happen.
Mr. President, you said it
the EU has said that they have offered 0 for 0 tariffs on cars and industrial goods. Is that not enough?
Well, the EU, no, it's not. The EU has been very tough over the years. I always say it was formed to really do damage to the United States in trade. That's the reason it was formed. It was formed with all of the countries from Europe, I guess most of them, not all of them, but most of them. And they formed together to create a little bit of a monopoly situation, to create a unified force against the United States for trade. So they have NATO, which is largely the same countries, and they took advantage of us dollar-wise and militarily until I got there. You know, I was able to get $600 billion from NATO, where they paid NATO because most of these nations weren't even paying. We were paying for NATO, so we're paying them to guard them militarily, and they're screwing us on trade. So that's not a good combination. So now it's really turned around. It's the opposite, and the European Union's been very bad to us. They don't take our cars, like Japan in that sense. They don't take our agricultural product. They don't take anything practically. And yet they send millions of cars in a year, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, BMWs. They're sending millions and millions of cars into the U.S., but we don't have a car that's been sold to the European Union or other places, but let's go for the European Union. And it's not going to be that way. It's got to be fair and reciprocal. It's got to be fair. It's not fair. We have a deficit with the European Union of $350 billion. And it's going to disappear fast. And one of the reasons and one of the ways that that can disappear easily and quickly is they're going to have to buy our energy from us because they need it. They're going to have to buy it from us. They can buy it. We can knock off $350 billion in 1 week. They have to buy and commit to buy a like amount of energy. And we have that. You know, we have more energy than any country in the world. I don't know if you know that. He knows everything, but the one thing he may not know, we have more energy than any country in the world. We have more of every kind of energy, every form of energy, from oil and gas to coal. And people talk about, I call it beautiful, clean coal. As you know, Germany is opening up a coal plant a week. They tried the windmills and it didn't work. They tried all the other solutions and they were ready to go out of business. Now they're doing a coal plant a week. China is now up to 2 coal plants. They're opening 2 major coal plants every single week in China, all over China. And then we're not allowed to use coal. Well, we have clean, beautiful coal more than anybody else. We have oil and gas more than anybody else. We have the most energy of any country in the world, including Saudi Arabia, including everybody, by a lot. And I took it to number 1. We were number 3, and I took it to number 1 during my administration. And the reason that we were hurt so badly and the reason that we went into such incredible inflation during Biden is energy. It was also their bad spending, but energy, because they played around with this incredible thing that we had built, this administration had built, and the energy costs went through the roof. And when that went up, everything else followed. Now, if you look at what's happening, you're going to see this today. I said we're going to try and get groceries down, right? An old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term. Eggs. So when I got in, the press went absolutely crazy the first week. They said, eggs have quadrupled in price. I said, I just got here. Tell me about it. And Brooke Rollins and our team did a great job, and eggs are down now 79%, and they're all over the place. And this was a problem that somebody else would have taken a long time to cure.
No, eggs is always.
We have energy is down.
Eggs,
we have interest rates are down.
They don't want you to eat.
We have groceries,
they do
meaning
not want
food
you
is down. We have everything is down at levels that nobody ever thought possible. Energy looks like it's going to be in the $2.50 a gallon range, and maybe below that for a car. So for gasoline. So. We are.
If he's right about,
we're really doing amazing. I mean, we're cutting prices because prices got so high, people couldn't live. I mean, the prices for groceries, the prices for standard groceries, standard things were going through the roof. They couldn't live, and now those prices are coming down. So call them groceries, but that's down, energy's down, and interest rates are down. Everything's down, and the interest rates. The beauty there is when we refinance debt. You know, debt's become such a big factor in this country. We're going to start paying debt off with tariffs and other things. But it's such a big factor because the interest rate's so high. Well, now that's coming way down. So our budget's going to look a lot better because really interest costs are way down.
Really.
And I guess I've done that. Okay.
Many Israelis are watching you now.
Let's just look at the number of,
what is your specific way of getting the hostages out from the horrific
crypto face was the one I first.
We are trying very hard to get the hostages out.
And the fact that this is even down a tiny bit
we're
is huge.
Looking at another ceasefire.
This
we'll
is
see
down
what happens.
any amount.
But we want to get the hostages out.
Just
the
look
Israeli
at
people want the hostages out more than anything. They want the hostages out. This man is working very hard with us to do that. I mean, I don't know. I hope he's being appreciated because he's been a great leader. He's working very, very hard on the hostages and many other things. And there are plenty of things you have to work on. It's a tough place in the world.
I have a good partner.
Yeah, you do have a good partner, and so do we. We're working very hard on the hostages.
If you're going to negotiate a new deal with Iran, can you elaborate how it's going to be more effective than the JCPOA?
Well, I can't really say that, but I think it'll be different and maybe a lot stronger. But they were so happy when we made that first deal because we did get a lot out. You know, I had people right in this office, this beautiful Oval Office. They came in, 10 people, hostages, you know that. And I said to them, so how was it? And the stories they told me, I mean, as an example, I said to them, was there any sign of love? You were there, 10 people. It's only 10, but it's pretty representative. Did the Hamas show any signs of, like, help
the fact that
or liking you? Did they wink at you? Did they give you a piece of bread
if that comes
extra?
down
Did they give
amount,
you a meal on the side?
People are saying
like,
inflation's inflation right now.
Like what happened in Germany, what happened elsewhere.
Right
people would try and help people that were in unbelievable distress.
I mean, unless they're like
they said no.
Maybe,
I said
maybe
all
in
of
the
them.
future could get worse.
I said, did they ever
right
wink
now,
at you like you'll be okay? You're going to be okay. No, they didn't do that. They'd slap us. The hatred is unbelievable. And the lives, you know, they lived in a pipe, not really a tunnel, it was a pipe.
That's monthly.
And they always thought they were suffocating, they were going to suffocate. And then they'd open up the pipe, and it was like 3.5 feet high. This
so you're
isn't,
spending 50 cents.
You know, we hear tunnels is bad, but pipes are worse. And
so if you want to
the stories I heard were incredible. But I just said, was there any sign of potential love or affection? And there were none whatsoever. It was amazing to me. There was nothing like, here, take this, it's a little extra meal or something. They lived like hell. I don't know. They seemed to be, they were amazing to me because they seemed to be pretty normal. They weren't scarred, but I guarantee underneath they have to be scarred. And one was there for 356 days. Another was there for about 180 days. You know, a long time.
Okay, we turn the lion down.
Really, really horribly treated. I've never
turn the lion down. What was I saying about the eggs? Yeah. I think that the thing too is that
Three countries that are on your list that you feel are farther along in getting their tariffs lowered?
Yeah. Turn the line off. I cover FOMC, yeah. We're getting some new people. I started uploading freaking thumbnails. Easier to do now, so yeah.
Maybe to nothing. But it's not only tariffs, it's non-monetary tariffs. It's tariffs where they put things on that make it impossible for you to sell a car. It's not a money thing. They make it so difficult, the standards and the tests. They drop a bowling ball on the top of your car from 20 feet up in the air, and if there's a little dent, they say, no, I'm sorry, your car doesn't qualify. When the same car from Germany would dent likewise, unless you're going to have an army tank, it's going to dent. So they come up with rules and regulations that are just designed for one.
I mean, now it's just getting rambling, but yeah.
Countries, and we're not going to let that happen. Those are called non-monetary barriers. They make barriers that are so tough that it's impossible to qualify. So tariffs are a big part of it, but there's another big part of it, and that's barriers. They also do something else. They manipulate their currency, and they drive it down. They want to have low currencies. You know, it sounds better to have a high currency, a strong dollar or whatever, but they bring their currency down, and when it competes with
it's like a currency.
it's very hard to sell a tractor. It's very hard to sell.
How's the euro doing?
Because their currency is low and ours is much higher relatively, and so it makes it very hard. I speak to a lot of companies that do business, tractor companies, and they say it's so hard to sell because what they've done is they've lowered the yen, or they've lowered the yuan, or they've lowered their currency, so that it's very hard to compete. We don't want that either. So we have a lot of things that
slightly coming up a little bit here.
Properly, and it's going to be fair to everybody. And in the end, I think we're going to have a world that does a lot better, you know. But they have to respect the United States. And nobody but me would do this. Nobody but me would do this. You know, it would be nice to serve a nice, easy term. But we have an opportunity to change the fabric of our country. We have an opportunity to reset the table on
Not
trade.
much doing there.
We lose billions of dollars. We lose close to $2 trillion a year on trade. We lose $1 trillion a year to China. We lose hundreds of billions of dollars a year on trade to China. We lose hundreds of billions of dollars overall, probably close to $2 trillion. Why would we do that? Number one, why would we do that? And then you have to say, is it sustainable? Then you hear about all of the people that say, well, deficits. If we have
that short trade.
the country has a big surplus with us, like China has a massive surplus that they take and they spend on their military. Well, we don't want that. I don't want them to take $500, $600 billion a year and spend it on their military. I don't want them spending money on their military. And I shouldn't have to spend money. We shouldn't have to spend it either. Because, you know, hopefully, and I said this to President Xi, hopefully it's money that we're never going to use. In other words, because we're not going to use those incredible weapons that we have and that they have. We don't want that. So,
what's up, Decrypto? Appreciate you.
Very interesting. It's the only chance our country will have to reset the table. Because no other president.
Yeah, they extort. Yeah, the soy and the yeah.
To even go through it. Now, I don't mind going through it because I see a beautiful picture at the end. But
maybe it'll bring cattle prices down. Probably not, though. But yeah.
Countries and countries that really took advantage of us are now saying, please negotiate. You know why? Because they're getting.
What was I gonna say here? Oh yeah, by the way, guys, if you're interested in trading, check out BYDFI down below. We got the 10% off, 15% bonus cash back on your first deposit. BloFin as well. You can get the trading volume. The bonus is here, 10% cash back for life. And I will be at the Bitcoin conference. Prices rise on Friday, 10% off.
Terminated NAFTA. Everybody said it would be impossible. And I terminated it through Congress. We terminated it. You had to get it through Congress. It was a trap. It was a horrible thing. We got it done. And we
It's not an AI thumbnail, but I should create an AI thumbnail. It's a good idea. It's a good idea, DCF. Any program use for that? I think it's a pretty good chance as the bottom, yeah. As long as you hold, which you should hold.
Very strong country. Our country is going to be at a level that has maybe never been, or maybe, our country was the strongest, believe it or not, from 1870 to 1913. You know why? It was all tariff based. We had no income tax. Then in 1913, some genius came up with the idea of let's charge the people of our country, not foreign countries that are ripping.
1913.
And the country was never that kind of wealth. We had so much wealth, we didn't know what to do with our money. We had meetings, we had committees, and these committees worked tirelessly to study one subject. We have so much money. What are we going to do with it? Who are we going to give it to? And I hope we're going to be in that position again.
Mr. President, do you plan to reduce the tariffs that your government put on Israeli goods, 17%?
Where?
On Israeli goods, 17%.
Well, we're talking about a whole new trade. Maybe not. Maybe not. Don't forget, we help Israel a lot. We give Israel $4 billion a year. That's a lot. Congratulations, by the way. That's pretty good. But we give Israel billions of dollars a year. Billions. It's one of the highest. And we give a lot of countries money. You wouldn't believe it if I said we give Afghanistan a lot of money. Do you know? Because that was a Biden deal, another Biden deal. Not only did he embarrass us with that, but they give them billions of dollars, Afghanistan. Right? So, but no, we take good care of our friends, and we don't take care of our enemies. We're not taking care of our enemies anymore, but we do take care of our friends.
Do you think that's the way to pressure Hamas to get to a deal? Do you think blocking humanitarian aid is also?
Well, you know how I feel about the Gaza Strip. I think it's an incredible piece of important real estate, and I think it's something that we would be involved in. But having a peace force like the United States there, controlling and owning the Gaza Strip would be a good thing. Because right now,
What's up, Douglas?
for years and years, all I hear about is killing and Hamas and problems. And if you take the people, the Palestinians, and move them around to different countries, and you have plenty of countries that will do that.
I think this is getting too long. I mean, there's not much else he's going to say that he didn't already say.
A zone where people aren't going to be killed every day. That's a hell of a place. You know what I call it? A great location that nobody wants to live in. Because they had good living. Hamas and all of the problems, the level of debt on the Gaza Strip is just, and I've said it. I don't understand.
I think we should hold this area and continue. So I'm going to get going in a second, guys, but ultimately we want to hold these areas. If you reject, that's where it gets a little bit scarier. I don't have anything particular at 74 here for Bitcoin, but it was, as on Crusader mentioned on Trading Wars earlier, there's something there. So that could be a bottom, ETH versus Bitcoin. Even that could be, you're close to that point, so maybe it bleeds another 10%, who knows. But we'll see what happens. Definitely have to see what happens. I do think you got a good shot of recovering some more here, though. Potentially back up to 1,700, and then hopefully back up to 2,000 or whatever. So, yeah. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna get going. Really appreciate you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Check out the Discord down below. Check out the links down below, especially BloFin in the pinned comment. 10% off your fees for life. So.